Hi and welcome everyone to another video on my channel. My name is Denis and today I'm going to show you a wildcard draft for Game Week 5 of Fantasy Premier League. Now if you enjoy my content, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, but let's get into it. Okay, so as I said before, today I'm going to show you a wildcard draft for Game Week 5 of Fantasy Premier League. I'm going to give you all my pros and cons in using a wildcard in Game Week 5 and I'm just going to give it to you straight. I don't think that this is the perfect time to use your wildcard in Game Week 5, but the only problem is a lot of people at the moment are panicking. Maybe you're tired of having a lot of players from Aston Villa, from Liverpool. So I don't know if you really want to use your wildcard. I made here a draft, but again, I'm not advising anyone to use your wildcard, and I'm going to try to give you some reasonable reasons to not activate the wildcard button in Game Week 5. The first and most important reason why you should not use your wildcard in Game Week 5 is obviously just because you don't need to really delay it for a long period of time. You should just wait one more week. Your wildcard 5 team compared to wildcard 6 is not going to be such a big difference. It's going to be pretty much the same, and the fixture, as you can see from the screen, are not amazing to use your wildcard in Game Week 5. That's the only problem, because if you're going to use your wildcard in Game Week 6 or 5, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to have some players from Manchester City, some players from Arsenal, and they are obviously playing against each other in Game Week 5, and they don't really have amazing fixtures in Game Week 6 either. Now talking about Arsenal, but again, if you're going to use your wildcard in Game Week 5, then you're just going to buy them early, and this is just not the perfect moment to it. Another reason is probably if you want to use your wildcard in Game Week 5, you have some players from Nottingham Forest, you have players from Liverpool, you have players from Aston Villa, and I understand it is really frustrating because all these players were really bad. Maybe you have players from Crystal Palace also, and the fixtures for them in Game Week 5 are really good and are decent, and I just think that you should give them one more week at least, and then use your wildcard in Game Week 6 if you want to get rid of all of them. But yeah, enough with the reasons why you should not use your wildcard in Game Week 5, and let me just try to find some reasons to use your wildcard in Game Week 5. Now again, maybe you're tired of having Mohamed Salah, maybe you want to have Haaland, maybe you have Watkins, maybe you have Rodgers, maybe you have someone like Timothée Lemans, maybe you have someone like Konsa. So again, you got my reasons. You want to get rid of all these players. So in that case, I tried to put here a draft for Game Week 5 who's going to be decent also for the future. The good part is that this team is not going to be so different for all the people who are going to use their wildcard in Game Week 6, but obviously they're going to have one more game week of information. Now in this wildcard, I'm going to start with the defense. I have Roya and Dubravka, and as I talked before, Manchester City are going to play against Arsenal, so it's not amazing to have all these players playing against each other, and I totally understand if you don't want to play them in your first 11, that's perfectly fine, you have other options. But on a wildcard, I would like to go with double Arsenal defense. That's pretty much because obviously we have some options like Eberechi Eze, Gabriel Martinelli, we have Madueke now, the wingers from Arsenal, but I just think that they are not 100% nailed and we can't just guarantee their minutes. So I would go for double Arsenal defense, and also it's not like Arsenal are a bad defense either. So from my point of view, they are the best defense in the Premier League, and yeah, I would not really be surprised if Arsenal are going to keep a clean sheet against Manchester City. So that's pretty much the reason. Also, someone like Bukayo Saka is still injured. He would be an interesting one on the wildcard, but he's injured at the moment. So I've gone with Raya and Gabriel in defense. Not too much to talk about that. Raya pretty much is a goalkeeper, and Gabriel is the best defender from Arsenal from my point of view, because all the other defenders are not 100% nailed. Saliba maybe is going to be nailed, but we know that Gabriel is really good from set pieces, so that's why he's in the team. Also in this wildcard, I've gone with Gyökeres. And again, that's why I said I don't think that's the perfect time to use your wildcard, because if you have someone like Watkins, I know Aston Villa didn't score a goal in the Premier League and Sunderland played pretty good in the first 4 games of the season, to be honest with you, but Watkins is playing against Sunderland and Gyökeres is playing against Manchester City. So if you give me the choice, I would prefer to have Watkins for this game in particular, but obviously in the future you want to have Gyökeres, his own penalties, and I think that he's going to improve. He's going to score lots of goals for Arsenal, so yeah, he's just in the team for the future pretty much. The next two for Arsenal are not amazing against Manchester City and Newcastle. That's what I was talking about before. I think that it is too game weeks early to bring in Arsenal players, but again, if you're using a wildcard, you have no other choice. After that, the fixtures are going to be really good for Arsenal. So West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Sunderland, everyone is going to want to have 2 or 3 players from Arsenal on their teams for this round, because we saw that Arsenal kept a lot of clean sheets even in those tougher games. So again, they are just a great team. So yeah, enough with Arsenal. My other defenders here on the wildcard are Anderson and Senesi, my 4.5 million defenders. With this team, as you can see from the screen, I have 0.3 millions in the bank. So maybe you're not going to be able to afford it, but I doubt it because my team value is really bad at the moment. So yeah, Anderson, Senesi, amazing for defensive contributions. The fixtures are not amazing for Fulham in the long run, but I just think that Anderson at that price is a really great option, and he's also having a decent fixture in Game Week 5, so that's pretty much why he's on the team. Against Brentford away, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Newcastle. After that, the fixtures are going to be better, so keep in mind, guys, that you're buying these players for a long period of time. If you're going to use your wildcard in Game Week 5, probably your plan should be at least to try to get some free transfer, so you're going to roll with this strategy in a lot of the weeks. Now obviously, if you don't want to play someone like Gabriel, you can just play someone like Van de Ven. The fixtures are really good for Spurs in the next few game weeks. From Game Week 10, from Game Week 9, the fixtures are not going to be amazing, but if you're wildcarding in Game Week 5, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really decent fixtures for Spurs, so I think that you should have some players from them. Again, we're going to talk in a minute about the midfield. But Van de Ven, I don't think that he's going to score every game week, but he has a little bit of an attacking threat. Spurs are performing better, so yeah, pretty much these were my cheap defenders. I have here also Lacroix. Again, if you don't want to use that money, if you don't want to pay 5 millions for him, you can just go for someone like Riches, but I just think that Lacroix is amazing. We know that he's really good for defensive contributions. The fixture in Game Week 5 is really good against West Ham. After that, Liverpool is not amazing, but overall, Everton, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, Crystal Palace also show that they are a really good defense. Lacroix is getting pretty much defensive contributions every gaming, so I just think that he's a great option. Again, if you want to spend some money elsewhere, you can just downgrade him to someone like Richards. Other than that, we can take a look at some other defenders I didn't include. Now again, there are other options. What you're missing here is maybe a Chelsea defender, but I don't think that I would go for any, to be honest with you. They are going to be rotation risk. Someone like Cucurella, Chalobah, Tosin, I would not go for any of them with the Champions League games starting today. If you want to go for someone like Sanchez, that's okay, but I just don't really like the other options in defense for Arsenal. But yeah, if you want to go different, you can do that. You can even go for someone like Munoz if you want. You can go for someone like Romero instead of Van de Ven. A Manchester City defender could be a nice option also on the wildcard. But yeah, you really need to see what you can do with the budget, because you can have a lot of 6 million defenders with this team. Obviously, now let me just put it here at 4.7 millions to see the other cheap alternatives. So I have here someone like Richard, someone like Guehi could be decent. Anderson, Senesi, they are into my team. Van de Ven also, he's in the team. I would not go for a West Ham defender, I think, on a wildcard. I would not go for Cash. I would not go for Konsa. Again, the fixtures for Aston Villa are not really bad. Talking about short term, as you can see, Sunderland, Fulham, and Burnley. But after that, they are going to be a little bit worse. Someone like Agbadu could be an option. Again, you don't really have a lot of other options. You don't have here on this wildcard draft 4 million defender, and you can totally go with one. Probably I would go for someone like Goodmanson from Leeds if I was to choose one. Now, if we move a little bit to the midfield, as you can see from the screen, I don't have Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah is another reason I don't think that you should use your wildcard in Game Week 5, because he has a way better fixture than Erling Haaland. I don't think that he's going to be that good against Arsenal away. I'm not sure which player are you going to use your captaincy if you're going to use your wildcard in Game Week 5. Probably someone like Haaland, or if you want to take a punt, someone like Palmer also could be great. But again, Palmer is in this team. I still have some doubts about him with the Champions League game starting today, with Maresca saying that he's not going to play 90 minutes every game week. I mean, he pretty much said that they're going to try to manage his minutes a little bit. So I'm just not sure if Palmer is going to play 90 minutes every game week. And again, if you don't want to go for him on the wild card in game week 5, you think maybe that's a little bit too early. Man United, Brighton, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest. From game week 8, I think that you should try to find a way to get Cole Palmer into your team, because he's just a great player and a great asset. I'm sure that he's going to be a decent one in FPL, and also in game week 9 he's probably the best captaincy option, and then the features are going to get a little bit better for Chelsea. So it really depends to you. If you don't want to go for Palmer, you can just go for someone like Bruno Fernandes instead and save up some cash and move to Palmer later on. I have Reinders and King here as my two cheap midfielders. Now if you want to go something different, you can just go for someone like Richards instead of Lacroix and upgrade someone like King to someone like Dewsbury Hall. The problem is the fixture is not great in game week 5 if you need him. Now again, probably you're not going to need him. So yeah, I think that both of them are really great. Dewsbury Hall at 5 millions, I think that probably he's the best midfielder in the game at that price. So yeah, let's just be honest. Reinders, I know that he was frustrating maybe for the owners. I knew that he's not going to score 10 points every game week, but the fixtures after Arsenal are going to be really good for Manchester City. As you can see, Burnley, Brentford, Everton, Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Liverpool in game week 11. So if he's still going to get the minutes at that price playing in the Manchester City midfield, I think that he's going to chip with some assists, maybe some goals. He missed a big chance, a big opportunity against Manchester United. So yeah, a little bit unlucky there. Semenyo, of course, I don't really need to talk too much about him. He would be, again, 100% sure into my wildcard. The fixture for him against Newcastle, I think that a lot of people maybe are overlooking that. I just don't think that's a great fixture for Bournemouth. Newcastle were really good defensively. Now, I know that Newcastle are going to play against Barcelona in the Champions League. Maybe they are going to be a little bit tired, but I just don't think that's a great fixture for Semenyo. But obviously, long term, you want to have him into your team. And also here I have someone like Njae, who's going to play against Liverpool. It's not amazing. But yeah, you want these players long term. He's on penalties. I think that he's going to be a better option than Grealish. Obviously, you're saving also some cash. At the moment, I have 0.3 millions in the bank. And my forward line pretty much is choosing itself. So Haaland 100% would be on my wildcard if you want to do that. If you want to go for both of them, Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland, you can definitely do that. You have the cheap options to do that, but I just don't think that's the best way to play it. Now again, also on this team you have Gyökeres for the reasons I said above, and the third striker here is João Pedro, because I just think that he's great value at 7.7 millions. But again, if you wanna let me just see the forwards. There aren't a lot of good options playing in game week 5, as I said before. So Haaland is playing against Arsenal, Gyökeres against Manchester City, Ekitike is playing against Everton, João Pedro is playing against Manchester United. Now, after we saw Manchester United, Manchester City, maybe you think that that's a good fixture for Chelsea, but I just think that United are going to play a little bit better at home. So yeah, you have players like Wood, but definitely I would not include him on the wildcard. We don't know how his minutes are going to be in the future. Another really good option, if you want to bet against João Pedro's ownership, you can just go for someone like Evan Nilsson. The fixtures are way better for them. As you can see, João Pedro is going to play against Manchester United, Brighton, Liverpool in the next 3, and Evan Nilsson is going to play against Newcastle, Leeds and Fulham. So that's better. Again, maybe you don't want to triple up on Bournemouth, and I totally understand that, but other than that, Thiago, you're not going to go there. Bowen, probably not going there at the moment. Mateta, probably not on a wildcard. And yeah, then Sesko and other players who I'm not really interested at the moment. Isak, again, is not getting the minutes. So definitely I would not have Isak on the wildcard at the moment in game week 5. So yeah, if we look a little bit about at the midfielders, as you can see from the screen, as I said before, if you don't want to go for Palmer, you can just go for Bruno Fernandes and save some money and buy Palmer later on. Someone like Foden could be a really nice option, but it's really tough for me to try to recommend you to buy him, because with Manchester City midfielders, you're never going to be sure when they're going to start, how many minutes they're going to get. Now, at the moment, there's a lot of positives about Phil Foden. We know that if he's going to be 100% fit, if he's going to be happy, he's going to be a starter for Manchester City, and he's one of the best players in the Premier League and one of the best players for playing for Manchester City, no doubt about that. But I'm just not sure if you can include him on a wildcard at the moment and be 100% sure that he's going to start every game week. someone like Eze could be a nice option. The fixtures are just not there for Arsenal. I don't really want to risk with a midfielder. Also, another thing, I don't really want to write off Liverpool assets. I think that if you want to go for someone like Van Dijk, that's perfectly fine. If you want to go for someone like Gakpo at 7.7 million, that's perfectly fine. Now, they're going to play against Everton, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Man United, Brentford, Aston Villa, Manchester City. So the long run is not amazing. There's going to be also Champions League games involved here and there. So with Isak getting back into the team for Liverpool, getting minutes slowly, we're going to see some rotation. Now, probably that's going to be with Ekitike mostly, but someone like Gakpo is also not immune to rotation. Let me just say it like that. I would not be surprised for someone like Gakpo to miss some game and Ekitike starting as a left winger, so that would not really surprise me. But more interestingly, if we look at some cheap midfielders, we don't really have a lot of options. So I'm going to put it under 6.5. So Minte, yeah, he's a decent player, but I don't know if I would go for him on a wildcard. Ahmad, definitely not. Anderson, he has the best picture this game week in Game Week 5, but again, long term at 5.5 millions, don't get me wrong, I think that he's still going to be a decent option. Definitely, if you have him, just keep him. But again, not a really exciting one. Rice, I don't think that you can go there at the moment. Tavernier, maybe when Kluivert is going to be back, there's going to be some rotation for Bournemouth, and we just don't know which player is going to miss out. So you have Njaya, you have Grealish, you have Dewsbury Hall from Everton, who are all decent options. Now Grealish is not going to play in Game Week 8, so bear in mind that. Rodri from Manchester City, probably you're not going there because Reinders is cheaper and probably more offensive. Mitoma, again, a decent option for Brighton if you want to go there. Ndoye, Hudson-Odoi from Nottingham Forest. Dango could be a nice one on the wildcard, 6 millions if you want to save some cash, but the fixtures, as you can see from the screen, are just not there. Fulham, Man United, Man City, West Ham, Liverpool, Palace, Newcastle, it's not the best run. You want to go. Barnes, again, I would not go for any Newcastle midfielder at the moment. Elanga, Barnes, Murphy, Gordon, you just don't know which players are going to start. Voldemort, Wissa, again, at the moment, Voldemort minutes look great because Wissa is injured, but after Wissa is going to be back, I think that they're going to share the minutes. So again, someone like Paqueta, if you want to save up some cash, is still a decent option. The same could go for someone like Harvey Elliott. So he would be a player I would think of, but probably to use my wildcard in Game Week 6. I don't think that I would go for Harvey Elliott in Game Week 5. We need to see how Aston Villa are going to play in the Cup. Tielemans obviously is injured, so maybe that's going to free a spot for someone like Harvey Elliott, but again, at the moment, it is a risky move to go for him. So yeah, at the moment, I don't really see a lot of exciting, good midfielders you would really want to have in your Game Week 5 wildcard. And also, as I said before, there are a lot of problems with using a wildcard in Game Week 5. You don't have the pictures. Nottingham Forest are going to play against Burnley, but you don't really want a lot of Nottingham Forest players into your wildcard because after Game Week 6, everybody is going to want to get rid of them because the fixtures are going to be really bad. And also they have a new manager, so we don't know how they're going to line up in the long run. Wolverhampton also are playing against Leeds, a really nice fixture, but at the moment you don't have a lot of options to go for. Wolverhampton, pretty much they are a team to target. So again, these fixtures are not great, and that's why I think that you should try to delay one more week the wildcard. I know it's frustrating to have all these players, Florian Wirtz, Watkins, Rogers into your team, and maybe players you don't want to have, but it is what it is. I think that the best way it is to just delay the wildcard. Now, if we go to Game Week 6, let's see how this wildcard is going to look like in the future. So in Game Week 6, you're going to have Raya, Gabriel against Newcastle away. You're going to have Van de Ven against Wolverhampton. You're going to have Senesi against Leeds. So your defenders are looking great for Game Week 6 already. Palmer, Semenyo, Reinders, Njae, all with decent fixtures. You have Haaland against Burnley. You can also use your triple captain. If you're going to wildcard in Game Week 5, that's going to open this possibility. So yeah, maybe this is an advantage to using a wildcard in Game Week 5. João Pedro, Gyökeres, all with decent fixtures. You have also a really decent bench, to be honest with you, but again, this would be probably my starting 11 here. If we move to Game Week 7, you're going to have already two saved up transfers. Raya, Gabriel, Gyökeres against West Ham at home. Richard Senesi, here you can play someone like Anderson if you want. Against instead of Senesi, you can play someone like Van de Ven probably. So yeah, probably I would just do that instead of Richards or something like that. Palmer against Liverpool is not great. If you don't want to play him, you have other options, but again, it's Palmer, he's on penalties, on set pieces, so I would not have a problem with playing him against Liverpool, also at home. So yeah, as you can see from the screen, your fixtures are going to be pretty decent for the long run. You're going to have the possibility to save some transfers. In game week 8 is this Raya, Gabriel Gyökeres against Fulham, Man City against Everton. At this point in time, you're going to have saved up three free transfers or something like that. So if you want to add another Manchester City player, maybe someone like Enury, maybe someone like Guardiola, you can definitely do that. Here, instead of Anderson, you can play Senesi, from my point of view. So yeah, Palmer, Semenyo, Reinders, Njay against Man City, not great. Haaland, Joao Pedro, and Gyökeres. So as you can see, long term, your fixtures are going to be decent for your players. I mean, also, game week 9, Richards against Arsenal, Anderson against Newcastle. So this is how your backline is going to be. Palmer against Sunderland, Semenyo against Nottingham Forest, and Jay, Reinders. Here, if you want to play someone like Dewsbury Hall, you can do that, but again, your team looks fine. The only problem with wildcarding in Game Week 5 is that I don't really like the team for Game Week 5, so yeah, that's the only downside. So yeah, again, I think that you should wait one more game week before using your wildcard, but if you're tired of everything that happened in the first 4 game weeks of the season, I think that this wildcard draft for Game Week 5 looks great in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video this long. I really appreciate it, and it really means a lot. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye. Bag gura lor când mă întreabă oamenii de unde sunt le zic de